Section 1 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Chenevert. The Englishman. St. George, he was for England, and before he killed the dragon, he drank a pint of English ale out of an English flagon. For though he fast right readily in hair shirt or in mail, it isn't safe to give him cakes unless you give him ale. St. George, he was for England, and right gallantly set free the lady left for dragon's meat and tied up to a tree. But since he stood for England and knew what England means, unless you give him bacon, you mustn't give him beans. St. George, he is for England, and shall wear the shield he wore when we go out in armour, with the battle cross before. But though he is jolly company, and very pleased to dine, it isn't safe to give him nuts unless you give him wine. End of section 1. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Phil Chenevert, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Section 2 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Chenevert. Wine and Water. Old Noah, he had an ostrich farm, and fowls on the largest scale. He ate his egg with a ladle, in an egg cup big as a pail. And the soup he took was elephant soup, and the fish he took was whale. But they all were small to the cellar he took, when he set out to sail. And Noah, he often said to his wife when he sat down to dine, "I don't care where the water goes, if it doesn't get into the wine." The cataract of the cliff of heaven fell blinding off the brink, as if it would wash the stars away as suds go down a sink. The 7 heavens came roaring down for the throats of hell to drink, and Noah, he cocked his eye and said, "It looks like rain, I think." The water has drowned the Matterhorn as deep as a Mendip mine, but I don't care where the water goes, if it doesn't get into the wine. But Noah, he sinned, and we have sinned, on tipsy feet we trod, till a great big black teetotaler was sent to us for a rod. And you can't get wine at a PSA or chapel or Estenfod, for the curse of water has come again because of the wrath of God. And water is on the bishop's board, and the higher thinker's shrine, but I don't care where the water goes, if it doesn't get into the wine. End of section 2. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 3 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton, read for LibriVox.org by Ron Altman of Niceville, Florida. And yes, it really is. The Song Against Grocers. God made the wicked grocer for a mystery and a sign, that men might shun the awful shops and go to inns to dine, where the bacon's on the rafter and the wine is in the wood, and God that made good laughter has seen that they are good. The evil-hearted grocer would call his mother ma'am, and bow at her and bob at her aged soul to damn, and rub his horrid hands and ask what article was next, though mortis in articulo should be her proper text. His props are not his children, but pert lads underpaid, who call out "Cash!" and bang about to work his wicked trade. He keeps a lady in a cage most cruelly all day, and makes her count and calls her Miss until she fades away. The righteous minds of innkeepers induce them now and then to crack a bottle with a friend or treat unmoneyed men. But who hath seen the grocer treat housemaids to his teas, or crack a bottle of fish sauce, or stand a man at cheese? He sells us sands of Araby as sugar for cash down. He sweeps his shop and sells the dust, the purest salt in town. He crams with cans of poisoned meat poor subjects of the king, and when they die by thousands, why, he laughs like anything. The wicked grocer grosses in spirits and in wine, not frankly and in fellowship as men in inns do dine, but packed with soap and sardines, and carried off by grooms, for to be snatched by duchesses, and drunk in dressing-rooms. The hell-instructed grocer has a temple made of tin, and the ruin of good innkeepers is loudly urged therein. But now the sands are running out from sugar of a sort. The grocer trembles, for his time, just like his weight, is short. End of section 3. This recording is in the public domain. Recorded by Ron Altman.
Section 4 of Wine, Water and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Ruth Golding. The Rolling English Road. Before the Roman came to Rye or out to Severn strode, the rolling English drunkard made the rolling English road. A reeling road, a rolling road that rambles round the shire, and after him the parson ran, the sexton and the squire. A merry road, a mazy road, and such as we did tread the night we went to Birmingham by way of Beachy Head. I knew no harm of Bonaparte, and plenty of the squire, and for to fight the Frenchmen I did not much desire. But I did bash their bagonets, because they came arrayed to straighten out the crooked road an English drunkard made, where you and I went down the lane with ale-mugs in our hands, the night we went to Glastonbury by way of Goodwin Sands. His sins they were forgiven him, all wide of flowers run behind him, and the hedges all strengthing in the sun. The wild thing went from left to right, and knew not which was which. But the wild rose was above him when they found him in the ditch. God pardon us, nor harden us, we did not see so clear the night we went to Bannockburn by way of Brighton Pier. My friends, we will not go again, or ape an ancient rage, or stretch the folly of our youth to be the shame of age, but walk with clearer eyes and ears this path that wandereth, and see undrugged in evening light the decent inn of death. For there is good news yet to hear, and fine things to be seen, before we go to Paradise by way of Kensal Green. End of section 4. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 5 of Wine, Water and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Bob Gonzalez. The Song of Quoodle. They haven't got no noses, the fallen sons of Eve. Even the smell of roses is not what they supposes, but more than mind discloses, and more than men believe. They haven't got no noses, they cannot even tell when door and darkness closes, the park a Jew encloses, where even the law of Moses will let you steal a smell. The brilliant smell of water, the brave smell of a stone, the smell of dew and thunder, the old bones buried under, are things in which they blunder and err if left alone. The wind from winter forests, the scent of scentless flowers, the breath of brides adorning, the smell of snare and warning, the smell of Sunday morning, God gave to us for ours. And Quoodle here discloses all things that Quoodle can. They haven't got no noses, they haven't got no noses, and goodness only noses the noselessness of man. End of section 5. This recording is in the public domain. Section 6 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Bob Gonzalez. Pioneers, O pioneers! Nebuchadnezzar, the king of the Jews, suffered from news and original views. He crawled on his hands and knees, it said, with grass in his mouth and a crown on his head, with a wowtyiddly, etc. Those in traditional paths that trod thought the thing was a curse from God. But a pioneer men always abuse, like Nebuchadnezzar, the king of the Jews. Black Lord Foulon, the Frenchman slew, thought it a futurist thing to do. He offered them grass instead of bread, so they stuffed him with grass when they cut off his head, with a wowtyiddly, etc. For the pride of his soul he perished then. But of course it is always of pride that men a man in advance of his age accuse, like Nebuchadnezzar, the king of the Jews. Simeon Scudder of Styx in Maine thought of the thing and was at it again. He gave good grass and water in pails to 1,000 Irishmen hammering rails, with a wowtyiddly, etc. Appetites differ, and tied to a stake he was tarred and feathered for conscience' sake. But stoning the prophets is ancient news, like Nebuchadnezzar, the king of the Jews. End of section 6. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 7 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Ginger Kukalo. The Logical Vegetarian. Why shouldn't I have a purely vegetable drink? Why shouldn't I take vegetables in their highest form, so to speak? The modest vegetarians ought obviously to stick to wine or beer, plain vegetarian drinks, instead of filling their goblets with the blood of bulls and elephants, as all conventional meat-eaters do, I suppose. Dalroy. You will find me drinking rum like a sailor in a slum. You will find me drinking beer like a Bavarian. You will find me drinking gin in the lowest kind of inn, because I am a rigid vegetarian. So I cleared the inn of wine, and I tried to climb the sign, and I tried to hail the constable as Marian. But he said I couldn't speak, and he bowled me to the beak, because I was a happy vegetarian. Oh, I knew a Dr. Gluck, and his nose it had a hook, and his attitudes were anything but Aryan. So I gave him all the pork that I had upon a fork, because I am myself a vegetarian. I am silent in the club, I am silent in the pub, I am silent on a bally peak in Darien. For I stuff away for life, shoving peas in with a knife, because I am at heart a vegetarian. No more the milk of cows shall pollute my private house than the milk of the wild mares of the barbarian. I will stick to port and sherry, for they are so very, very vegetarian. End of section 7. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Ginger Kukalo.
Section 8 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Bob Gonzalez. The Saracen's Head. The Saracen's Head looks down the lane, where we shall never drink wine again, For the wicked old women who feel well bred have turned to a tea shop the Saracen's Head. The Saracen's Head out of Araby came, King Richard riding in arms like flame, and where he established his folk to be fed, he set up a spear, and the Saracen's Head. But the Saracen's Head outlived the kings. It thought, and it thought of most horrible things, of health, and of soap, and of standard bread, and of Saracen drinks at the Saracen's Head. So the Saracen's Head fulfills its name. They drink no wine, a ridiculous game, and I shall wonder until I'm dead how it ever came into the Saracen's Head. End of section 8. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 9 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Ginger Cucolo. The Good Rich Man. Mr. Mandragon, the millionaire, he wouldn't have wine or wife. He couldn't endure complexity. He lived the simple life. He ordered his lunch by megaphone in manly, simple tones, and used all his motors for canvassing voters and 20 telephones. Besides a dandy little machine, cunning and neat as ever was seen, with 100 pulleys and cranks between, made of metal and kept quite clean, to hoist him out of his healthful bed on every day of his life, and wash him, and dress him, and shave him, and brush him, to live the simple life. Mr. Mandragon was most refined and quietly, neatly dressed. Say, all the American newspapers that know refinement best. Quiet and neat the hat and hair, and the coat quiet and neat. A trouser worn upon either leg, while boots adorn the feet. And not, as any one would expect, a tiger skin all striped and specked, and a peacock hat with the tail erect, a scarlet tunic with sunflowers decked, which might have had a more marked effect, and pleased the pride of a weaker man that yearned for wine or wife. But fame and the flagon, for Mr. Mandragon, obscured the simple life. Mr. Mandragon, the millionaire, I am happy to say, is dead. He enjoyed a quiet funeral in a crematorium shed, and he lies there fluffy and soft and gray, and certainly quite refined, when he might have rotted to flowers and fruit with Adam and all mankind, or been eaten by wolves athirst for blood, or burnt on a good tall pyre of wood, in a towering flame as a heathen should, or even sat with us here at food, merrily taking 2-penny ale and pork with a pocket knife. But this was luxury not for one that went for the simple life. End of section 9. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Ginger Cucolo.
Section 10 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Bob Gonzalez. The Song Against Songs. The song of the sorrow of Melisande is a weary song and a dreary song. The glory of Mariana's grange had got into great decay. The song of the raven nevermore has never been called a cheery song, and the brightest things in Baudelaire are anything else but gay. But who will write us a riding song, or a hunting song, or a drinking song, fit for them that arose and rode when day and the wine were red? But bring me a quart of claret out, and I will write you a clinking song, a song of war and a song of wine, and a song to wake the dead. The song of the fury of Fragolet is a florid song and a torrid song. The song of the sorrow of Tara is sung to a harp unstrung. The song of the cheerful Shropshire lad I consider a perfectly horrid song, and the song of the happy futurist is a song that can't be sung. But who will write us a riding song, or a fighting song, or a drinking song, fit for the fathers of you and me, that knew how to think and thrive? But the song of beauty and art and love is simply an utterly stinking song, to double you up and drag you down and damn your soul alive. End of section 10. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 11 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Ginger Kukalo. Me heart. I come from Castlepatrick, and me heart is on me sleeve, and any sword or pistol boy can hit it with me leave. It shines there for an epaulet, as golden as a flame, as naked as me ancestors, as noble as me name. For I come from Castlepatrick, and me heart is on me sleeve, but a lady stole it from me on St. Gallo Glass's eve. The folk that live in Liverpool, their heart is in their boots. They go to hell like lambs, they do, because the hooter hoots. Where men may not be dancing, though the wheels may dance all day, and men may not be smoking, but only chimneys may. But I come from Castlepatrick, and me heart is on me sleeve, but a lady stole it from me on St. Polyander's eve. The folk that live in Black Belfast, their heart is in their mouth. They see us making murders in the meadows of the south. They think a plow's a rack, they do, and cattle calls are creeds, and they think we're burning witches when we're only burning weeds. But I come from Castlepatrick, and me heart is on me sleeve, but a lady stole it from me on St. Barnabas's eve. End of section 11. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Ginger Kukalo.
Section 12 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Joshua Burnworth. The Song of the Oak. The Druids waved their golden knives and danced around the oak when they had sacrificed a man. But though the learned searched and scanned, no single modern person can entirely see the joke. But though they cut the throats of men, they cut not down the tree, and from the blood the sapling sprang of oak woods yet to be. But ivy wood, Lord Ivy wood, he rots the tree as ivy would. He clings and crawls as ivy would about the sacred tree. King Charles, he fled from Worcester fight, and hid him in an oak. In convent schools no man of tact would trace and praise his every act, or argue that he was, in fact, a strict and sainted bloke. But not by him the sacred woods have lost their fancies free, and though he was extremely big, he did not break the tree. But ivy wood, Lord Ivy wood, he breaks the tree as ivy would, and eats the woods as ivy would, between us and the sea. Great Collingwood walked down the glade, and flung the acorns free, that oaks might still be in the grove, as oaken as the beams above. When the great lover sailor's love was kissed by death at sea, but though for him the oak trees fell, to build the oaken ships, the woodmen worshipped what he smote, and honored even the chips. But ivy wood, Lord Ivy wood, he hates the tree as ivy would, as the dragon of the ivy wood, that has us in his grips. End of section 12. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 13 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Ginger Kukalo. The Road to Roundabout. Some say that Guy of Warwick, the man that killed the cow, and brake the mighty boar alive beyond the bridge at Slough, went up against a loathly worm that wasted all the downs, And so the road they twist and squirm, if I may be allowed the term, from the writhing of the stricken worm that died in 7 towns. I see no scientific proof that this idea is sound, and I should say they wound about to find the town of Roundabout, the merry town of Roundabout that makes the world go round. Some say that Robin Goodfellow, whose lantern lights the meads, to steal a phrase Sir Walter Scott in heaven no longer needs. Such dance around the trysting place the moonstruck lover leads, which superstition I should scout. There is more faith in honest doubt, as Tennyson has pointed out, than in those nasty creeds. But peace and righteousness, St. John, in Roundabout can kiss, and since that's all that's found about the pleasant town of Roundabout, the roads they simply bound about to find out where it is. Some say that when Sir Lancelot went forth to find the Grail, gray Merlin wrinkled up the roads for hope that he should fail. All roads led back to Lyonesse and Camelot in the Vale. I cannot yield assent to this extravagant hypothesis. The plain, shrewd Briton will dismiss such rumors, Daily Mail. But in the streets of Roundabout are no such factions found, or theories to expound about, or roll upon the ground about, in the happy town of Roundabout that makes the world go round. End of section 13. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Ginger Cuccolo.
Section 14 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Patti Cunningham. The Song of the Strange Ascetic. If I had been a heathen, I'd have praised the purple vine. My slaves should dig the vineyards, and I would drink the wine. But Higgins is a heathen, and his slaves grow lean and gray, that he may drink some tepid milk exactly twice a day. If I had been a heathen, I'd have crowned Neora's curls, and filled my life with love affairs, my house with dancing girls. But Higgins is a heathen, and to lecture rooms is forced, where his aunts, who are not married, demand to be divorced. If I had been a heathen, I'd have sent my armies forth, and dragged behind my chariots the chieftains of the north. But Higgins is a heathen, and he drives the dreary quill, to lend the poor that funny cash that makes them poorer still. If I had been a heathen, I'd have piled my pyre on high, and in a great red whirlwind gone roaring to the sky. But Higgins is a heathen, and a richer man than I, and they put him in an oven, just as if he were a pie. Now who that runs can read it, the riddle that I write, of why this poor old sinner should sin without delight? But I cannot read it, although I run and run, of them that do not have the faith, and will not have the fun. End of section 14. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Patti Cunningham.
Section 15 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Ginger Cuccolo. The Song of Right and Wrong. Feast on wine or fast on water, and your honor shall stand sure. God Almighty's son and daughter, he the valiant, she the pure. If an angel out of heaven brings you other things to drink, thank him for his kind attentions, go and pour them down this sink. Tea is like the east he grows in, a great yellow mandarin, with urbanity of manner and unconsciousness of sin. All the women, like a harem, at his pigtail troop along, and like all the east he grows in, he is poison when he's strong. Tea, although an oriental, is a gentleman at least. Cocoa is a cad and coward. Cocoa is a vulgar beast. Cocoa is a dull, disloyal, lying, crawling cad and clown, and may very well be grateful to the fool that takes him down. As for all the windy waters, they were rain like tempests down, when good drink has been dishonored by the tipplers of the town. when red wine had brought red ruin, and the death dance of our times, heaven sent us soda water as a torment for our crimes. End of section 15. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Ginger Kukalo. Section 16 of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Ginger Kukalo. Who goes home? In the city set upon slime and loam, they cry in their parliament, Who goes home? And there comes no answer in arch or dome, for none in the city of graves goes home. Yet these shall perish and understand, for God has pity on this great land. Men that are men again, who goes home? Tocsin and trumpeter, who goes home? For there's blood on the field, and blood on the foam, and blood on the body when man goes home, and a voice valedictory, Who is for victory? Who is for liberty? Who goes home? End of section 16. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Ginger Kukalo. End of Wine, Water, and Song by G.K. Chesterton.